No, well, here we go. I might as well put my 2 cents in. I've been making this video for quite a while now. I mean, the whole ordeal came to fruition while I was on my holiday, or well, vacation. So I thought that it will probably be done to death. But, might as well go through the whole video, stopping every now and then, and to voice my own opinion on this matter. It's the good old video from extra credits. Stop normalizing Nazis. Yeah, you probably should watch the Eggman's videos. It will be much better than mine, right? But yeah, might as well add my 2 cents in. So, the beginning. Let's go through it, right?
There you are, playing the PvP in your World War II shooter, and all of a sudden, you're a Nazi. You didn't ask for this. You didn't choose this. Yet there it is. And it's treated no differently than playing a British soldier.
Wow. I mean, hey, sure. Not like we've been playing against and with, or somewhere in between, with all matter of ideologies, right? I'm pretty much sure that both me and you, of course that depends on if you, the viewer, play video games, but I think that we both have played like a lot of games, be it strategy games, shooters, RPGs, whatever. And there you are playing for factions that you would normally not, agree with, or you wouldn't like to be associated with. You might be a tyrant in game. Or you might be a complete benevolent soul. But that doesn't really influence you in real life now, does it? It's not like when you play as the end guys in video games that you agree with their rhetorics and everything associated with them. You're just there to have fun. I mean, what the fuck, man? Really? No, that's not how it works. Let's skip the introduction, right?
This is bad on so many levels.
No, it's not bad. Why should it be bad? Let's listen, right?
No one should ever have a random chance of fighting for the Nazis. And
Why not, though?
we should never express that there's no meaningful difference between Nazis and Allied soldiers, or that they're functionally interchangeable.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose, right? But they are still soldiers. And if you want to go into the nitty-gritty, the Wehrmacht had to be politically neutral. So they should not be associated with the atrocities. That was mainly the works of SS divisions. But hey, let's proceed, right?
And before anyone equivocates and says not all German soldiers in World War II were Nazis,
Exactly.
if they were wearing the swastika and are functioning as an arm of the Nazi government, then unless the game goes out of its way to tell you specifically that your particular character is not a Nazi, then they're a Nazi. In that
No.
multiplayer shooter, when it switched you to the German side, did it go out of its way to tell you that the person you're playing was pressed into service under threat of their life? Yeah, that's a big old nope.
Wait. But why? You are simply switching factions. It doesn't influence you on your personal level. God, man. I mean, why does everyone have to bring politics into gaming? Now, well. Either way, let's proceed.
Oh, and on a similar note, let's please stop forcing people to play as terrorists as well. There you are, playing your
I'm not going to comment on this one. I think that you already know what I'm going to say.
modern shooter, and all of a sudden you're a terrorist. You didn't ask for this, you didn't choose this, and yet, second verse, same as the first. There it is. I mean, that's literally the name of your side in the game.
My gosh, really? I mean, hey, I suppose.
We can do better than this. Even if you
Okay, so who's going to be planting the bombs, eh? The communists? Leftists? Or some right wingers? I don't know. Oh, well, let's proceed.
You put aside all of the people who have had traumatic experiences with these groups, who have lost loved ones to terrorists, or who have had generations of their families wiped out by Nazis. No one should have to put on the costume of an ideology they find abhorrent without actually opting into it in your game.
Okay, fair enough. If you find the fact that you are almost inevitably going to play as the faction you hate, then you might as well not buy the game and play something else. Right? I suppose that should work too, in some sense. No? Maybe I am too naive. I don't know. Let's proceed.
And by making people do so, we get them to stop thinking about it, to stop thinking of the meaning behind these things. We normalize them. We make them just window dressing for entertainment. Those uniforms, those symbols, become things that no longer inherently revolt us.
Okay. I mean, the Stahlhelm in its infancy was also used in the First World War. And the German Knight's Cross is not inherently associated with Nazis. There, I said it. It's not like I have monetization on the line, right? Lol XD. But hey, let's proceed.
They reduce our visceral reaction to seeing the embodiment of these ideologies. Now, does this make us totally ignore the history that comes with them? No. But for some people, it moves them from the territory of revolting to just edgy. It makes scrawling a swastika on something change from unthinkable to just dangerous. It means you might not take iron crosses all over a website as a warning sign that you should immediately leave, and if you don't leave, you might start reading and buying into hateful ideas there.
Oh, hell no, what? What? Excuse me? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been playing Doom since I've been I kid you not, 3 years old. I'm 20 at this moment, right? And let's say that Satanism doesn't really work for me. I've never even considered becoming a Satanist, and anything of that sort. Excuse me?
It seems like such a small and simple thing, but it's things like this that erode our safeguards against dangers we sacrifice so much to fight. By the time you've played 100 hours of being a Nazi, their voice stabs become memes and in-jokes with your friends. By the 1000th time you've respawned as a terrorist, you're either celebrating them or making fun of them, neither of which helps the global crisis we have that takes thousands of lives every year. So what do? That's
Hold on. So by playing as the Germans, I'm contributing to the climate change? Wow. The more you learn, right?
It's easy. Don't make them morally equivalent. Don't make there be no in-game moral difference between your Nazis and your allies, between your terrorists and your counter-terrorist squads. Frame PvP as a training exercise, or simply take one of your non-odious sides and recolor them so that it's red versus blue, rather than Axis versus allies. A good example of a game that does this is Rainbow Six Siege. All of your bomb diffusion and hostage rescue multiplayer with no normalizing terrorists. In fact, by having all of the characters as counter-terrorists training for a possible threat, it highlights how real and present of a threat that is. And if you decide that you need to have both sides be playable, don't make them interchangeable. Don't have players randomly spawn in as one or the other. Allow players to choose which side they're on. Now, of course, this has all sorts of in-game problems, such as creating shorter wait times for fascists, but you know what? Those wait times could be artificially extended.
Have you heard the F word? Beautiful. The framing of the terrorists, I suppose, right? Well, I think that playing is the size in question. I think that it makes you think about it more than it does normalizing it. I mean, I've become interested in history thanks to video games. But I suppose whatever tickles your pickle, right?
If it meant players had an active choice in what teams they would represent, if you're saying we need people playing Nazis in our games. And if you're going to say, but we need it for historical reasons, then your game better actually be historical. You can't really just hide behind the fact you called your desert map El Alamein and say, but it's historical. If that were the case, you need your PvP to at least represent real historical events and be a realistic take on those battles. Once you make both sides balanced.
Why? Again, I think that playing as something that's recognizable helps to draw in players. Why? I don't know. Now, well, let's finish this, I suppose.
It's also no longer historical. And you can't really say that you need Nazis anymore for historical accuracy. Oh, and once you let players get cool weapons that weren't actually at that particular battleground, it's also no longer historically accurate. And you can't declare that your game will suffer if you don't put players in the jackboots of the Third Reich. And what?
Well, yes, I mean, either prototype weapons or weapons that were not in use during that particular time frame, but were either worked on or, they become prototypes near the end of the war. They are usually added in for fun so that players can experience them. How many weapons you wouldn't even know that existed in some period of our history if it wasn't for video games? Again, you are learning more than you are normalizing the bad guys of history.
Once your map is something carefully designed to have good gameplay by a team in a room in San Francisco or LA, and it's not a faithful reconstruction of the actual places the historical events occurred in, you can no longer say we need to have players take up arms in service of terror or hate. And look, we're not saying we can't have games about World War II or about terrorism. We're not even saying we shouldn't make games where you play as a Nazi or a terrorist. But what we are saying is that the fact that you're playing as a Nazi or a terrorist in a game has to mean something. And it can't just be a skin. It can't be something that a game randomly drops you into. And really, if we are saying anything in this episode, it's this. Games can do better. And in this particular case, it's not even that hard to do better. And it's no more costly to do better. All it requires is that we in the game industry be cognizant of the world around us and what these symbols we're drawing on mean. That we think as we're building, not just about the game we're working on, but about the world as a whole. If we can do that, we can take a big step forward for the industry. We can stop helping to normalize Nazis.
Much wow. I mean, I suppose that your message worked. Sort of. I mean, if you look at the beautiful dislike to like ratio, it's, spicy stuff, right? But hey, I've always liked extra credits. Way back when I aspired to a game development position, I watched a lot of their videos from their catalog. Then, when my personality began to shift a bit, I started to be interested more and more in their historical videos, and also some sci-fi every now and then. I wasn't really interested in their mythology videos, but I really enjoyed the historical ones. They were, for the most part, accurate. Then again, when there were some mistakes, they usually rectified them in the live videos, which were usually enough to make me happy with their final product. But yeah. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. By playing as the Nazis in video games, you will be a Nazi. Doesn't have to be now, doesn't have to be tomorrow, but in time, you will be a Nazi. And once that time comes, I'll welcome you in our ranks. Because by their definition, I'm already lost. And if you are too, let me know in the comment section. We can make a cult or a Discord group. Have some fun, I suppose. I'll see you later.